Hello, Internet. How are you today? We have... just stop spinning. Let's try to do this again. Special one for me today because... oh, that's kind of fun. Look at it spinning on its big brother. What is that? Yeah, these buttons spin in there a little bit, so it's kind of fun. I'll put you right there. Compoform, Gaika. Look at this lovely little... oh, the camera looks good. Yeah, we're doing 60 frames per second today because this is a special one for me. So I wanted to give it the attention it deserves. Nice little container. Spare O-ring in the bottom there. As always, just love the presentation of Compoform stuff. So this is the Gaika. Let's pull it out of here. Nice little tin, or not tin, container. Let's just look at this for a second. So this is their Leafy pattern. It's laser engraved on the spinner. And you'll notice it's a chunky little spinner. Just take a second just to breathe it all in. So I think I'm starting to wear the corners off. I've been jamming on this quite a bit, I'm gonna be honest. We'll just get some of this stuff out of the way here. So that is, its spin diameter is probably gonna be about 1.5 inches. Not too crazy, but at its, when you're looking, it's 1.25 inches to the arm here, where it might sit on your finger. Kind of tall, almost 1/2 inch, a little over 1/2 inch if you consider the buttons. So, let's weigh it too. Let's weigh it. Let's just get all that out of the way so we can talk about this bad boy. Dun, 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 dun. Can you see the scale? I guess you sort of can. You can't really. Bring it down here. There we go. 93.5. Pretty heavy with the buttons, but with these, because of the size of the spinner, the core of the buttons is so large that you lose a lot of weight without the buttons. So we went from like 93 to 46. So don't worry about it being too heavy, although it is kind of thick for a ring spinner. So let's put the buttons back on for a minute, and they are buttons. Beautiful little spinner. So, with these buttons, something I've realized a little bit with ring spinners that have buttons, like playing with the Van Pelt and then going back to the loophole, because there's so much mass, because they have such a wider core, there's something more satisfying about spinning the buttons that you don't get with, this is probably a good example because these buttons are so big and heavy, but it's just not as satisfying for me to spin the buttons on spinners like this. I mean, that's actually not too bad, but again, that's probably not a good example, something like this. I don't know. They're just too light, they're too flimsy. But with a ring spinner, you got a lot of mass in there, so spinning the buttons are kind of nice. But giving it the old flicks like this, it's a great little micro spinner. And because of that larger bearing, something sort of like a 608 where you get a really different feel. Now, it doesn't feel like a 608, but I find that ring spinner bearings always seem to make a little bit more noise. But it's pretty satisfying because it's smaller and the shape of it pulling like this. Great little micro spinner. Giant, again, Compoform buttons. It's the same size as their buttons. Right, so it's the same size. They're not quite as tall, but not by much. I don't think they're quite as tall. Anyway, but it's a nice little fidgeter like this. So even just like this, good to go. But let's take that off because that's not what you're really here for. So this is a 17mm core. So something like a loophole and the Van Pelt has a 19mm core. So for me, this is kind of interesting. So it might almost be a little contradictory compared to some of the things I said on the loophole, because with a loophole, it has a 19mm and doesn't quite go down far enough, and that was something I didn't really like. But this being that it's a little smaller really sticks on my finger a little bit. Now, because of its weight, I definitely can't do some of the stuff like with the loophole. Like if I hang it upside down and try to spin it, unless my finger's curved, it's going to fall right off my finger. So I do need to make sure that my finger's either level or up, but that hasn't really been too much of an issue. So look how long my finger looks. I've been taking some pictures and my finger looks freakishly long when you get it at the right angle. Whoa. Oh, my little scar on my finger. Seems like the camera's really doing real well, but we are also using that iPhone 10. So I think we're getting some good quality video, but this guy deserves it. So I'm really, really enjoying this. Now, when I first started using it, it's been the same thing with virtually every ring spinner I use. When I first started using it, I'm kind of like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. And then I start using it, and then I just start falling in love with them. Like the same thing with the loophole. Remember, if you watch that video, I say, when I got it, I was like, man, am I gonna have to do a negative review? And then, you know, just after using it all day, I really started to appreciate it. And same thing with this. I think I had such high expectations for this because it's Compoform, and you know, they're probably my favorite brand out there. You know, I really like my Grave Raven, but it's just really that one spinner. And I like the design aesthetic from everything Compoform does. And to be honest, I think they may or may not, I don't want to do any spoilers, inched out the Grave Raven. We'll see. But again, the same thing with the Grave Raven. I haven't spun it in a couple weeks. So then all of a sudden it becomes, you pick it back up again and fall back in love. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about today. I'm talking about this guy. So the fidgetability from this guy, for me, is really off the chain. Now, since we're just spinning it, and I don't want to forget, when I first got this, I was getting about a minute on the spin, and it felt like maybe it had been a little dirty. And again, when you're shipping something across the world, basically, right, because these ship from Russia, I pretty much get in the habit of cleaning virtually every spinner bearing that I get. Ring spinners, I don't care too much about spin time, so I actually didn't clean the bearing on this for a while. I did just clean it and went from getting about a minute on a spin like this, so just doing a nice hard spin like this. After cleaning it, getting just over 3 minutes on a ring spinner. That's crazy. And you know what's really nice about this guy, being that it's a little larger, you get a gyroscopic feel when you turn your finger on it, which is pretty interesting. See the spinner kind of twist because it wants to maintain its position, so it's kind of being forced out of position when I move my finger. See how it's kind of leaning one way? I don't know, it's kind of neat. I dig that feel. So, but fidgeting wise, this thing is a real treat. So, I think something else with ring spinners that I don't know if I've really heard anybody mention, and obviously some of this is sort of, obviously some of this is sort of obvious. Get it together, Tim. But the ring spinners are going to fit everybody different, right? So especially when you get sort of a one-size-fits-all, it's going to fit everybody different. And I think part of the fun with ring spinners is finding out what works and what fidgets well for you. So for me, I get jamming on this guy really well. And what I like to do is I do a pull with my thumb. And at the same time, I'm pushing off with this finger. We're kind of balancing it or putting a little tension with this finger so that my thumb can really kind of preload. So it's essentially a preloaded flick with my thumb. And you get some really fast spins. I can kick it on and off like this, which is nice. But this is kind of the spin that I like doing. But after a little bit, I just switch it to the middle finger and it feels completely different. And I can kind of get 3 fingers spinning it, or do the same thing with this, or do the same thing with this. Because of how it fits on my fingers and it just feels a little different. I can get it about 3/4 of the way down that second knuckle. Great little spins. Great little spins. And then I don't really like it on my ring finger. It just fits in the same spot as this finger, and any fidgeting I want to do with this, I really want to do here. But the pinky fits all the way down. And then with that cutout, it's very narrow right where that cutout is. It's nice just to have there. Like if I'm not going to be spinning it, I can have it here, even though it's kind of chunky and kind of big, and do almost whatever I need to. Like it doesn't get in the way when I'm doing things, right? When I'm like, oh, look, we'll do this. Oh, well, look, I got my hammer here. We'll hammer on something. The spinner really doesn't get in the way, which is kind of neat. Now, I can't give it quite as hard flicks here, but I've actually, you know, if I'm sitting there like just with my hand like this, just spinning it slowly, this is very smooth, very worrystone-like, feels really nice along the side. So doing these sorts of things where I'm just fidgeting it like this, or just doing it like this, where I kind of hold it hard here and I just kind of roll it past. Because it does spin fast, but you don't have to spin it fast. But again, it's a nice solid chunk of, I'm pretty sure this is bronze that they use. I guess maybe we can talk real quick about the different versions and the pricing while we fidget with it. Let's take the O-ring out here real quick too. So it goes for a black version, a black, again, I'm pretty sure it's bronze, but it might be brass. But that just pops right out. Now the black brass version or bronze version goes for, and it is a hybrid ceramic, 112, which isn't too bad for the work that they're doing with that over there. I know it's not the cheapest ring spinner around, but again, for the looks of it and the amount of work they do by hand over there, what they're putting into it to get the finish and everything right, I'm fine with that. Then they do a couple different patinaed versions for 123 and 134 for I think like a bronzed patina, and then the copper patina is 134, like a chaotic patina they call it. And then they do this one they call the Leafy pattern. And then they do a one with like the skulls that a lot of people seem to like, called the Scully pattern. Now those are done via pre-order. You sign out a little PDF on their site. I thought they're 168 for the Leafy, so this one that I got here is 168, so kind of pricey. But again, it's like, this is a work of art. Like if you're trying to fill out your collection or get something special, every once in a while you got to treat yourself, and for me, there's nothing like this. The Compoforms, I just love the whole package. They really just speak to me on a personal level. So we've got, especially like with this Leafy pattern, right? You've got this really elegant, leafy, antiqued looking finish on here. That starts to break in and wear in as you use it. Like we can see these corners, the blackening starting to wear off, and it was off a little bit when I got it. I'm gonna have to compare the pictures from when I first got it. But it just feels, it's just a treat. It's just a joy. I thoroughly enjoy this, and I wasn't sure how much I was gonna like it. I was kind of on the fence of, you know, when I got this, like what I was gonna think, because I'm like, that 17 millimeter, I really appreciate on the loophole when I can get it all the way down here, because it's 19 millimeter, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to get anywhere there, but it's fine. I wish it was a little bigger just for the sake of the thumb. My thumb really, that pinches it and it's not comfortable. It's kind of fun to do thumb spins, but I really just can't. So, but absolutely gorgeous spinner. So I'm trying to think of some negatives, and I think the only negative I can think of, to be honest, is it's not, for me, it's not as fidgetable as a, maybe it is. I mean, I literally just cleaned this bearing a little bit before this, and that's kind of made all the difference with this little fidgeting, because now I can kind of get preloaded flicks that feel fast. Before, I would kind of get on there and I wasn't feeling like I was getting a good grip. But I was going to say, it's not as fidgetable as something like the Van Pelt as a ring spinner. That Van Pelt ring spinner I really like with the buttons on it. But I got to be honest, I think I'm coming around mid-video. That was going to be a negative thing I was going to talk about, but it really doesn't bother me now, especially since I just cleaned the bearing. It just feels fast. It's got a good feeling of weight, especially with these big buttons on here, right? All of a sudden we're in the 95 grams, which is heavy, and you guys know I like something heavy, but again, you're still only spinning 40 grams a spinner, 45 grams a spinner. So I think the other negative, and it's a shame that I would call it a negative because it isn't really, is the price. Only because I know that that's going to mean that a lot of people that really want to get it aren't going to get it, but I think it's something you need to treat yourself to and get if it allows, you know, like, you know, before you buy that next cheap spinner or the next mid-level spinner, right, the next $40, $50 spinner, don't buy that. And then the second time you're going to buy something, don't buy that one, and then put those funds together and then get yourself, you know, even just the black patinaed one of these, the black bronze for 112. And that includes shipping. I should say it's done in Russian. That's a price that includes shipping. So if you factor international shipping is usually anywhere from 10 to 20 bucks, all of a sudden, yeah, you know, you're looking at 80, 90 bucks for a spinner. And it's starting to get a little bit better of a value because, yeah, they do include shipping. I meant to mention that. Makes the price a little bit more affordable. So just absolutely gorgeous. Can I recommend this? 2-hole awkward thumbs up. I really hope to see a lot of people with this stuff out there, only because I appreciate it so much. I guess it speaks to me on a level. I think, you know, again, spinners are so subjective. You know, everything that we see, every design, everything that we hold, that we feel, really has to connect with us on a personal level. But there's just so much interesting stuff going on with these. You know, you're taking precision machining and then you're weathering it and putting an artist's craft on it. Like these designs, I mean, this is definitely art. I don't say that about every spinner, and it's not something I bring up, but this is absolutely an art piece. You know, if you'll pay $5,000 to have a canvas from on your wall, this is, I put this in the same boat. Like this is absolutely a work of art, you know, much like Steel Flame as well. I don't own any of those. They're a bit outside of my budget. And you know, if you're looking at just what they spend in raw materials, like obviously they're not worth that. But it's the artistry, it's everything that's going on behind it. So, you know, Ivan over at Compoform is doing some amazing stuff over there, and I want to see them successful, but also I want to see other people enjoying the things that I really like. So, you know, you can kind of connect with me on a personal level. You get something like this. If you appreciate it, well, we got something going on there. So, anywho, that is the Gaika by Compoform. Fantastic little ring spinner. Really dig this guy. I just want to keep spinning and keep recording me spinning. Is that bad? Getting you some 60 frames per second, love. We don't really need you in frame anymore. Get out of there. And again, look how good it looks. And this little display thing, like giving you the extra O-ring. They had originally designed this, I should say, to be essentially a couple pieces like riveted together, and then the bearing was like permanently in there. So if you had any issues with the bearing or any like bearing damage, you couldn't replace it. So they kind of went back to the drawing board and came up with this version with this O-ring, which I think is fantastic. So, you know, that style before with almost looking like some sandwich metals and some rivets looked cool. But I think this is a better design that fits their aesthetic a little bit better as well. So for what it's worth, so. Gaika. We've talked long enough, haven't we? I just hope you guys know and can appreciate how much I really love this guy. So, and I hope some of you guys out there pick this up and love it too. The Gaika by Compoform. Just look. Would you look at it? Would you just look at it? I mean, look at that. How close can we get in there and focus? Man, that's 60 frames per second. I'm not gonna lie, it looks good on this new iPhone. Maybe I should review the iPhone. What do you guys think? I've never really reviewed tech. I'm not sure if I do a good job at it, and I'll need to borrow my wife's phone to record the phone. So, anywho, maybe it'll be good. All right. All right, Internet. I guess we're done. I just didn't really want this one to end because I like this spinner so much. Oh, we don't have it centered on there, but that's fine. Kisses, y'all.